Big exciting news as we start the midday as negotiations resume on your second stimulus check and stimulus package. Mitch McConnell thinks a deal should be done, but he tailors his comments in a way in which you might not be happy. Meantime, why is all the focus on Wall Street? Why is the president focusing on Wall Street? And what should you think about the purple power and getting the push to the finish line? This is another edition of 28. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is 28. The finish line is in front of us, but we're almost there, but not yet over it. Go to the Funnest channel, subscribe. Subscribe because this is day 25 of the last 25 days before the presidential election. Also like this video. In this video, I'll be going over the shocking developments this day as we start a Friday afternoon. It started this morning with comments from Mitch McConnell. Good, but also tailored. Comments from Donald Trump, comments from Nancy Pelosi, and comments from Wall Street about your stimulus. Ironically, for the first time ever, stimulus is front page news every single place. And yet, people's reactions are a little bit different than they were just a week ago. Let's get to the breaking details. The surprising twist is that as we start a Friday afternoon, everyone is talking about second stimulus. Every single person. Broadcast news, financial news, almost sporting news. Everyone's talking about it. But the sentiment towards it is totally different than it was nearly just a few days ago. It appears that the erosion that President Donald Trump caused 48 hours ago in calling off stimulus chats initially caused a lot of skepticism that is still in the American public now 2 days later. President Donald Trump has put the stimulus chats back into the play. They're back negotiating. But there's a lot of twists and turns, and they're coming from all different directions. Let me get to the breaking developments minutes ago. First, negotiations for purpose of the president are underway. The president wants stimulus packages. He wants them broad, not narrow. That was, yesterday. He's on a different script today. Today it's broad. He wants everything to go out. He wants it quick. He wants it comprehensive. He doesn't want it cheap. He wants it overcompensating in the words and ears of Jerome Powell, head of the Federal Reserve. He wants more stimulus rather than less stimulus. Now, of course, this is where we are on a Friday afternoon. It could change by the time of this recording, which by the time of uploading the video, which will be 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. This recording is made at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the West Coast. But as of the time of this recording, the president wants a broad, over-encompassing, very stimulating, very rich, not narrowly tailored stimulus package to be approved promptly. Steve Mnuchin, his comments are much the same as the president. He's just co-signing whatever the president tells him to do. Nancy Pelosi, okay, well, she's literally all over the place. She's being dragged left and right by the president, and apparently she can't stay on her own script either. So her version of her script currently is that... That's they're blow drying my hair off set. If you hear that sound, Nancy Pelosi is all over the place because she started, the week at saying we're going to have an imminent deal. We're going to have a deal right away. Hold off airlines firing anyone. It's coming. Then yesterday she said it was progress. She's promising it's optimism from the Temple of Doom. And then in the same breath, she said, you know what? And by the way, that person I'm negotiating with, the president, he's unfit for president. So I'm going to be doing a 25th Amendment meeting tomorrow. Come and meet me. Well, at the time of this recording, perhaps the 25th Amendment meeting with press is going to happen. I can't tell you or predict what it's going to say, but I can only estimate that it doesn't help negotiations to say, the person you're negotiating with is crazy. Leave that for the YouTube channels to call people crazy. Needless to say, it's not a good twist to do that during negotiations. Now, Mitch McConnell additionally came out this morning and spoke to Reuters. And Mitch McConnell said, I think we need a stimulus package. Now, Mitch McConnell has had every version of what he wants in the last 7 days. He said, I want a stimulus package. Then he says, I don't want Nancy's bill. 2.2, it's crazy, it's ridiculous, it shows she's not serious. 3, he says, I think there's progress. 4, he says, I don't think there's progress. 5, he says, we need a stimulus package right away. And today's version, well, we need a stimulus package, but I don't see it happening for the next 3 weeks. Needless to say, that's what Mitch McConnell is saying on a Friday morning. Give it Friday afternoon and he'll say another version. I got to tell you, Mitch McConnell certainly beats to his own drum. You can see in his comments. His comments throughout the last 7 days have always been opposite of whatever the president's saying. This is what Nancy Pelosi's saying. So it seems as though whenever someone has a comment, they go to Mitch and he'll just say the reverse and he'll get some press coverage for it. Okay, Mitch, thank you. As you sit here today, what should you think about the situation when you're being told by one thing from the president, one thing from Nancy, and one thing from Mitch? Well, first, the Senate's closed. It's closed. It's closed, closed. There cannot be a law because the door is literally shut closed to vote. The Senate is in recess. No one's allowed on the floor. And until that situation is changed, you will not have a law until several weeks from now, October 19th, I think approximately was. So that is apparently still clear to hopefully most viewers of this channel. Now, the president can change it. The president can order the Senate back in session. I don't think he will. And I don't think that means much of anything, because ultimately saying you're going to open the Senate back up for session doesn't mean they're going to vote on anything. The president can't order them to vote on something. And Mitch is very cognizant of COVID in a way different than the president. Even yesterday, Mitch said, I have not been to the White House since August because I see dealing with COVID a little bit differently than the White House does. That's the polite way of saying, you're crazy and I'm keeping my mask on. But so if you ordered Mitch's doors open, he's not going to do anything beyond having a door open. He's just going to do what he wants to do. But the president can order Mitch to do remote voting. Whether the president will do that, that's another reach. Next, executive orders. President can do executive orders. President has the money to do executive orders. President has the constitutional authority to do executive orders. What's great news in the last 48 hours that I've detailed for you on this channel is that there's money for stimulus checks and there's money for FPUC. First, stimulus checks, $1,200, $1,200 individual stimulus checks, $2,400 married couple stimulus checks, $1,200 for people on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and railroad benefits, $1,200 for you. And this is different than the first stimulus package because you didn't get stimulus check on the first stimulus package because CARES Act 1 said, you know what, we're not giving a stimulus check to someone who's a dependent in someone else's tax return. They cut that out this time. They said you're getting a stimulus check. But there's a problem. There's always a problem. The problem is that Nancy and Steve's versions of the bills both say we're not going to give you more than $500. No. You got to give them $1,200. It's just not fair. It's not fair. $1,200, every single person in the family of 5, $6,000. It's as simple as that. If you're a single mom, 4 kids, $6,000. And husband and wife, 3 kids, $6,000. Very, very simple. Let's keep it simple. Next, there's enough money to pay $1,200 stimulus checks for everyone. Why? Because the president identified that several weeks ago. $300 billion. It only costs about $250-ish billion to do a round of stimulus checks. So let's do it. Let's get it done. Third, the president can do it. He has the constitutional authority. Why? Because he can, by executive order, send out money in time of emergency. That is all within the realm of his executive order. And where is this money? It's not in Treasury. It's currently believed to be sitting in PPP coffers, but we know that it's in a CARES Act 1 expired program's bank account. And this is very important. The president does not have the authority to send out money from the U.S. Treasury. He requires Act of Congress for this. This money's not in the U.S. Treasury. This money is sitting in a building that has an agency that he oversees. And he can say, send that money out. Why has he not done it? $1 billion question of this channel. I don't have the answer for you on that one. Purple power, do your thing. Next, the incredible great news in the last 48 hours has been the president announcing that there was additionally $159 billion sitting around that he can repurpose. Who told you that first? Me. I told you there's $200 billion on top of the $300 billion that the president can repurpose. And the word repurpose is so important. It is so important. I don't keep on using it just because I like the word. It's important. Larry Kudlow has said the word. Other people on the president's team have said the word. Why? Because you would repurpose the money. Again, this is money that it was for a CARES Act 1 program. That program has expired. The money is sitting in the bank account of that program. The president can reallocate that money to the purposes of FPUC. Who would set out the money? It could be the agency that actually has the money currently. How would it happen? Well, states would apply and set it out. What would be the rate? $1 million question. Well, Steve Mnuchin's currently at $400 a week. President's LWA was at $300 a week. Well, are they going to do 300? They're going to do 400. Are they going to do that $100 threshold? Are they not going to do the $100 threshold? Really unclear. Purple Power, do your thing. Do your thing, Purple Power. So, ultimately, if you did all this, what would happen? How soon would you get the money? What would it do for Trump? What would it do for Nancy? Here we go. Well, if you did this today, for example, for stimulus checks, you could get the stimulus checks in 10 days from now. Hello? Send it out. What are we doing here? Send it out. Why are we waiting for multiple weeks for Mitch to reopen his doors? Send it out today. 10 days. If you're set up for SSDI, SSI, electronic payments or things like that, or you do your taxes electronically, 10 days. Simple as that. FPUC, how soon could you see it? Well, states could have the money in about a week. And then after that, it depends on how fast states pay you out. Some states pay fast, some states pay slow. But the great news is that this money is there. Send it out. What are we doing here, folks? Come on now. Now, how does this help Trump? How does it help Pelosi? How does it help you? Well, ultimately, the winner in this equation is you. You would get the money faster than it bears any benefit to Nance or Donald. Why? Because ultimately, it is possible the money would arrive in your hands potentially after you've done mail-in voting, perhaps before you do before you do in-person voting, but may actually arrive just a day or two after you vote in person. It's so close. 25 days to the election. And I'm telling you, allowed 10 days routing time if it was sent out today. Well, it's not being sent out today. So let's add 3 more days. Let's add it to next Monday. Let's add 4 more days. Okay, then we're getting so close that ultimately, if the president wants to do it, get his name on the check, as Nancy says, wants to just give you a stimulus check to get you to vote for him, well, he can do it, and he should do it right now. And guess what? Guess what day it is? Oh, yeah. Guess what day it is? Oh, yeah. It's Friday. Oh, you all know what I'm talking about. He loves executive orders on Friday. He loves sending out money on Saturday. That's his day. And he has always consistently tweeted about stimulus checks on Friday. I just don't know what's with stimulus checks on Fridays. But let's do it today, Donald. Come on now. Mitch. I'd like to see us rise above what we did in March, like we did in March and April, but I think it's unlikely in the next 3 weeks. Okay, thank you, Mitch. This week, when President walked away from the coronavirus negotiations, he walked away from the strategic plan to crush the virus, showcasing his deadly contempt for science, for governance, and for health and livelihood of the American people. Who do you think said that? Yeah, that's Nancy. This isn't a Republican or a Democrat thing that doesn't know someone who has been laid off or been laid off, frankly. It's just about the laid off people that are really front and center. The strength is at the stock of Darden. It should terrify you. Darden's winning streak is because the private competitors can't cope with the COVID-19 economy. Unfortunately, without the help from Congress, you better believe that most independent restaurants will not be able to hold off. Who do you think said that? Jim Cramer, CNBC. He's basically saying that what I've been talking about as bifurcation. Stimulus is not needed for Walmart or Target. They are doing totally fine without stimulus. And as he referred to Garden, which is the owner of Olive Garden, the parent of Olive Garden, they don't need stimulus because they're, a Fortune 500 company. They don't need stimulus, but the mom and pop restaurants do. This is what's called bifurcation. Middle American, mom and pops, you and me, husbands and wives, single moms, SSDI, SSI, veterans, they need stimulus. They're not Wall Street. They're not corporate America. They need stimulus in a way that's totally different than what you see on Wall Street. But the problem is that the president is looking at Wall Street and is not looking at you lately. And this is a deep, deep problem. And he may have Larry Kudlow in his ear, who's chief economist to the president, because Larry Kudlow says, Wall Street's doing really well. Why do we need stimulus? Well, because Wall Street is not the indicator of the U.S. economy. Consumer confidence, unemployment numbers, that's the American people. That's not Wall Street. 900 comments from yesterday. Let's go over some of them. And Tony, I think the people are done with talk. It's cheap and not reliable. People need purple power. LALATE for president and purple power. Well, thank you. Mark Hutton, everybody needs the money now, needs to hurry up. Larissa, if she demands too high, higher than she already has, she could deny us everything. Philly girl, problem solver's bill is perfect. It is. P. Wallace, why doesn't he just go ahead and do the executive order? $1 million question. Lynn, show us the money. William, I just want stimulus to go out. Carolyn, she also talked about the children. She's a hypocrite. I'm so tired of her. It's as if Nancy cared for the children. We would have had the stimulus. My nerves are so bad. D'Amica, if he won't do a virtual debate, we can forget about him calling in to do virtual voting. Interesting comment. She's referring to Mitch virtual voting in the Senate. I like that comment, D'Amica. Deborah, I'm seriously spent all waking hours blowing up their Twitter feed. I will not give up or shut up. I've turned into a world-class stalker. I love that, Deborah. Glenn, have you ever thought of running for president? Yes. I hate heat. Literally, I hate not pressure. I hate heat. I just can't stand Washington weather. But thank you for your nice comments, Glenn. Sherry, Nancy needs to make cuts to bring it down to 2.2. To bring it down to 2.2. It is at 2.2. She needs to bring it below 2.2. First place, she cut multiple checks and $500 dependent checks and shortened timelines. Hazard pay. She cut out hazard pay. All these things impact the American people. She's on a rampage. Cuss the virus. She refuses to answer any questions pertaining to stimulus checks. I love that comment. Sherry got every single facet right. Absolutely correct. Melissa, how childish are they to squabble like they are? They are depressing. Terry, stimulus should not be a taxable event. Alyssa, I love how caring we are towards one another. I know how easy it is to feel let down. We can't hang in there. We're all hurt. I believe in our movement. I believe each one and every one of you. I love that, Alyssa. And I love you for calling it a movement. Linda, adult dependents need $1,200. They do. Veronica, I'm so tired of this. Sharon, can we direct some purple power towards Pelosi's constituents? Yes, absolutely. That's seats for stimulus. Sherry, I feel we need a tweet to encourage a deadline at this point. Oh, I like that. I like that, Sherry. Diane, I think we should have retroactive stimulus. They owe us. They do owe us. Gary, short. Sorry, Nancy, I like $600 a week, but right now $400 would help me a lot. Yeah, Gary, how about $400 since late July? Steve offered her $400 in late July. She turned it down. So that's August, September, and maybe a half of a month. So that's 10 weeks. You have had $4,000. Nancy said no. Children going hungry. Patricia, see the Epic Times this morning. The hag would not deal unless she got a larger package. For what? Mary Boone. I understand why he just doesn't do an executive order. He said months ago he wanted to. The 3 strikes out and you're out. Charlene. Great comments. Coming up this afternoon is Afternoons LALATE. Big developments coming, expected all day long. I mean, this is a very fluid situation, so you have to stay with me. I appreciate you for making 28 a daily part of your daily routine. Go to the front of the channel, subscribe because we're on top of this, we're focused, and we're dedicated. And also like this video. As always, coming up more is Afternoons LALATE. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay of LA for more.